So a vacant home tax might be coming to Toronto, and it may affect Toronto real estate in a variety of different ways, which I will discuss in this video. Quickly put, a vacant home tax is what exactly it sounds like. It's a tax on vacant properties. Now, obviously, there are exemptions and exceptions to what would be taxed as a vacant property, where this tax already exists in certain jurisdictions and other cities. For instance, if your property is on sale and it's a vacant property, and let's say it's on the market for 65 days, that arrangement is exempt from the tax. What this tax would most likely apply to is a couple of different scenarios. For instance, Airbnbs. This would actually be a second downward measure on Airbnbs. The first one was the mandatory registration of Airbnbs as short-term rentals, which in return resulted in an influx of former Airbnb properties into the long-term rental market. And that obviously had an effect of increased supply where there was not enough demand to meet and prices dropped. But this would be another measure that would make it more difficult for Airbnbs, because at times those units remain empty for long periods of time. And the vacant home tax can't apply to them. And you'd be surprised, there's other scenarios in which the property remains vacant for long periods of time with no one inhabiting the property, such as foreign owners and foreign investors. Often they own a property here for once a year or 2 times a year when they visit, and you'd be surprised how often this actually happens. They don't rent it out while they're not here. Now let me discuss a bit what would happen if this law actually went into effect and we actually get a vacant property tax here in Toronto. In theory, one school of thought claims that this would increase supply because owners of these vacant properties would be more inclined to sell the property, and once inventory grows up, things will be affordable, because right now what we're seeing is it's kind of hard to afford properties for a lot of buyers because there is not a lot of affordable housing available, and what options are available are always competing against one another, leading to most times a seller's market where an inventory is less than buyer's demand. Buyer's demand greatly exceeds what supply exists that is advantageous to the supply side of things. For that reason, that's the theory behind why Toronto is unaffordable a lot of the times. So if this induces foreign owners and domestic owners in some cases to sell and not hold on to these vacant properties, thereby increasing the inventory, it can be potentially good for buyers. But in another sense, it might be beneficial for buyers because it might create a dip in prices. Because if there is downward pressure on these vacant properties, that's going to deter a lot of foreign investors, because they already have to pay foreign investor tax that was introduced a couple of years ago, along with another series of measures that have put somewhat of a roadblock, more so than existed in previous times, for foreign investors. This would be just an added measure where a foreign investor would not have to evaluate, well, do I want to pay all these other taxes plus this tax? And I suspect this will have a negative effect, and Toronto will take another step into being foreign investor unfriendly. Now, I'm just saying this as a fact of the matter. I'm not saying if this is good or bad, because I know a lot of people are upset of how much foreign investing and foreign money exists in Toronto real estate, and the locals cannot afford where they live and properties in their community. And there's another group of people who don't really care. They think whatever is good for the economy is good for the economy, and the tide that raises all boats, that's all that matters. If foreign investors and their foreign money at the end of the day is good for the economy and brings more traffic to Toronto, why is that bad? So there's two ways of thinking about this, right? So I'm not in either camp in this video. I do have my own personal opinions. I'm just giving you the fact of the matter. This would de-incentivize foreign investors, and more importantly, foreign owners as well, right? Not all foreign purchases of real estate in Toronto are necessarily for investing purposes. Anyways, that's a quick video on the vacant property tax that's being proposed. It's going to actually go in front of the committee by December, and it's going to be reviewed. Its feasibility is going to be reviewed at that time. So I'll have updates on this channel. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate. You can find my contact information in the description box. So feel free to get in touch with me, and subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And thank you for watching. Stay safe.